Last time I wanted to research one thing and tripped and learned too much. This time I had the breakdown and worked backwards. We understand why this shit is wrong now and the damage it can do. The piles of money people make from stealing other people's words and ideas and work. But there's one group more important than historians or journalists or anyone else with a real job, and that's gay people. You know what's worse than stealing from established journalists who in the end are doing okay? Stealing from small queer writers or creators from marginalized groups who weren't even paid for their work in the first place. Stealing from the writings of dead people who passed away doing the activism you pretend to do. Stealing from the very people who fund your videos, the people you claim to be defending. This video is about James Somerton.
Who's this guy? Please react harder. This guy's fans on Twitch are fucking insane. So who is James Somerton?
James Somerton is a gay YouTuber with a degree in business administration who frequently refers to himself as a marketing expert.
I'm a YouTuber,
Damn, it's like he fucking gave me the answer right away.
marketing expert, and film school grad. I'm also gay.
Cool. In 2014, he briefly made videos about geek stuff, reviewing Marvel movies and so on. Several years later, when video essays became a popular format, he started making those, with a focus on queer characters in media and LGBT film history, and occasionally anime, such as this really successful video about the fascism of Attack on Titan, which has mysteriously disappeared. Where did it go? I wonder what happened there. Somerton is doing great by the standards of queer YouTube in terms of
You say he made a decent AOT analysis video? Brother, I think we're about to find out he didn't make the video. I don't know. All I'm saying is, I think we're about to find out he might not have made that video. I'm just saying, it seems like the 1 hour and 50 minutes thus far have been pointing to whoever is going to be in the next hour, 2 hours. Holy shit, it's a 4-hour video. 2 hours is going to be dedicated to the guy who didn't actually make... Okay, let's just...
views, ad revenue, sponsorships, Patreon income, and donations on his live streams. The man is doing extremely well financially in a field where people generally struggle to do this full time. In many ways, James Somerton is a success story our entire community should be proud of. Not to rain on this pride parade, but whenever I saw a video by James in my recommendations, I would have to stop watching because it quickly became clear to me he didn't know what he was talking about. The first video of his I ever saw was about Disney's relationship with the queer community, and in it he claims Disney set up an event called Gay Night and claimed to give the profits to charity, but actually kept the money.
During the 1990s, Disney's parks also tried profiting from their LGBT fans by creating Gay Night, a one-night-a-year event at the parks where LGBT folk would be the main guests. It was a big hit. Initially, the revenue was all to be donated to the Aid for AIDS Foundation, but by 1995, donations to the charity had dried up. And Disney was keeping all of the profits for themselves.
He's misremembering a really well-known event. Gay Night was not set up by Disney, they didn't sanction it. A travel agency rented the park out for the night, and they kept the money they were supposed to have donated. This is a bit sloppy, but then he claims the more progressive CEO Bob Iger expanded Gay Nights into full Gay Day events.
Under his stewardship, Disney switched from the once-a-year Gay Night at Disney parks to the full Gay Days event, rebranding the occasion into a more family-friendly event.
See, this is why you can't trust gay content creators, brother. They lie to you.
Fair.
Now, obviously, Iger couldn't rebrand something Disney wasn't doing and had no control over. Gay Days is actually a completely separate event, which is also unofficial and unsanctioned by Disney. Also, it started before Gay Night and 15 years before Iger became CEO. It's kind of impressive how wrong this was. He's giving fucking Disney credit for the actions of independent queer people. It really downplays the work that people put into organizing stuff like Gay Days. It's super disappointing, honestly. The first official Disney Pride Night...
I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I legit thought every day was Gay Day at Disney. That shit is gay as fuck. It's so gay. It's been gay. Like, it's not new, man. It's been gay. Have you seen Ursula? The fuck?
Happened this year, 3 years after he made this video. That's how far off the mark he was on this. Whenever I saw another Somerton video in the wild, I'd give it another shot and quickly have to give up again. In his Yuri on Ice video, he claimed the show never went into explicitly gay territory because it aired early in the evening on Japanese television, and there's a law on the books preventing showing homosexuality that early.
Japan has certain laws, such as what time of night a queer-centric
Okay, that hair is...
show can actually be aired on TV. This show was slated for an earlier time slot in the night because it's first and foremost a sports anime. In order for the quiet part to be as loud as the creator wanted, it would have to have had a much later time slot than the network wanted.
This is a common myth made up by Western fans of the show to explain why it wasn't gayer. They wanted to, but it was illegal. How convenient. But that law doesn't work that way.
Okay, to be fair, that's like classic anime, dude. That is literally weebs to a fucking T. That's Western fans of anime down to a T. Isn't there an anime that was, I saw it on Twitter. There was like an anime with all ladies, right? Like all little schoolgirls or whatever. And apparently people in the Western world have like turned it into like a lesbian fanfic. And they talk about how like it's all women because it's like pro women or whatever, but it's I think the real reason is because what? I don't know anything. I don't remember the actual tweet. If I could remember it, I'd pull it up. A lot of those animes don't have like male characters in them because they don't want they would lose their fucking minds if they saw their favorite girl that they love interacting with a man.
Way, and even if it did, Yuri on Ice aired at 2:30 AM in the morning, the gay witching hour. They could do whatever they wanted. But now I see people continuing to spread this lie, linking Somerton's video as proof it's true. James is helping to reinforce misinformation by not checking whatever he hears on Twitter before he spreads it, which is a bit concerning. Basically, I can't really watch James's videos because I care a lot about the stuff he talks about, and I can tell he's not really checked what he's saying, and that really gets to me. Normally in this situation, I would just not watch his videos and live my life, but over the last couple of years, Somerton has been repeatedly accused of plagiarism. In response, Somerton has claimed he never ripped off anyone, and the times he did weren't even that bad anyway.
If I had been plagiarizing videos, I wouldn't have a channel.
Uh-oh, I feel like he's gonna be caught plagiarizing videos.
I would be called out all the time by people saying he stole my shit, but I don't plagiarize. The one time that there actually was plagiarism, it was by mistake, and I fixed it immediately, and it is no longer in my video. And the other two accusations, one was silly.
That's an interesting way of saying you didn't do it.
When 3 or 4 separate videos have 3 or 4 separate plagiarism controversies attached. There's not 3 or 4.
Somerton is telling the truth here. There are not 3 or 4 accusations. Whenever these allegations are brought up, however, a fan of his will normally pop up to accuse them of harassing a gay man and claim this is all part of a deliberate
I feel like he's harassing a gay man and is actually doing a deliberate homophobic
campaign against a queer creator. And as an open bisexual who knows what the internet is like, I'm vigilant to the possibility the phobes are making a fuss about nothing again to take down a fellow gay boy. It does happen, so keeping...
That's why I like it. Taking down a gay man a couple pegs, you know what I mean? That's why I like this part of the video. I'm just saying.
This possibility in mind, I looked at what he'd been accused of for myself, weighed up all the evidence as objectively as I could, and it quickly became clear he did do it. He's a massive plagiarist. In fact, there's a bunch of stuff no one else has found yet. He's just convinced his audience to attack people when they notice. And the worst part is, they do it in the name of defending a gay creator, when many of the people he has financially benefited from stealing from are queer themselves. I've never seen anyone try to put together a full explanation of what exact solid body of evidence contradicted out it being, shall we? Somerton uploaded Evil Queens, a queer look at Disney history, a 1 hour and 8-minute video about Disney's relationship with the queer community. This original upload of the video has since been deleted for reasons which will become clear. As the video reached its audience, some viewers began noticing similarities between the video and the book Tinkerbells and Evil Queens by Sean P. Griffin.
Damn! He just straight ripped the book? At least he read a book. Just saying.
James opens with a present
also, it's kind of brilliant. Wait, what the fuck?
Example of Disney being...
Oh my god. Is that I know him. This is my friend. I think this is Michael Cimino. Love Victor, dude is your friend? Yes. Yeah, we work out at the same gym. Saying. No, that's Cycle Mamino. Nice, dude. Disney expert here. That's not your friend. That's an actor. Common mistake. Yeah, I think it's actor Michael Cimino. Don't you work out at home? No, I work out at my friend's home.
Bad about gay content on their platforms, and then says we need to explore Disney's history of doing this. The next 45 minutes are almost word for word taken from Griffin's book.
Okay, what I was going to say is, dude, if you're going to plagiarize, doing it off of a book is so fucking smart. Because unless the author literally watches your YouTube video, okay, who the fuck else on YouTube is reading books, dog? Who? No one reads shit. That's why they're on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But this guy got caught? Yeah, because fucking H-Bomber guy's a nerd.
Fantasy is often described as a method of escape from the trials and tribulations of everyday reality. Living in a society that has outlawed homosexual desire, categorized it as a medical Shmi is constantly at Hook's side, and although Hook is the maniacal master of the relationship, Shmi is obviously his prospects brighten, though, when he overhears of a young man cub who is wandering alone in the jungle.
God damn. Wait, this motherfucker just did a book reading. What the hell? Yo, he's just reading the book. What the fuck? Don't you steal from Capital? All the time. All the time. Except that's socialism, so it's allowed. If you want to read someone's book for an audience, you make an audio book. Well, bro did it. He did an audio book, except he doesn't even have like fun graphics on. At least Internet Historian took an article and then slapped like editing on it. This guy's just sitting in front of his Funko Pops and reading it. What the hell?
He whispers to himself,
How delightful.
and vows to arrange a
I spoke too soon. That was fire. He did an edit. That's an edit. I spoke too soon.
rendezvous with the boy.
Most of this video is just James reading a book into the camera.
In the number, Ursula uses various methods to convince Ariel to sell her soul, from looking sorry and saint-like to shimmying madly in excitement.
Throughout this video, James uses parts of the book where Griffin quotes someone else. Like here, this is from an essay by Cynthia Erb. James just keeps reading and doesn't tell you he's quoting it.
Okay, you laugh, but there are literally Twitch streamers who just read public domain books on stream. Wait, what do you mean? That's like entirely different. One, it's public domain. Two, you understand that they're reading a public domain book. They're not like hiding it, right? That is entirely legal. And also, like, even if I were to sit here and read a fucking entire book, I read articles all the time on the stream. Hello? All the time. It's like half of what I do is read articles and then engage in commentary. There's a reason why journalists love that shit instead of hate that shit. They love that shit so much, they sometimes also come on the stream to talk about the articles that they've written. Sometimes they stay at my house while they're writing their new articles because I'm reading an article. Everybody knows that. You know what I mean? It's like, technically, a lot of these people don't understand it online, but it's almost like I'm reacting to their article. You know what I mean? I'm reacting to their article. I'm getting them paid with exposure, and they love that shit. The difference, of course, is that, like, everybody knows that's not my work. I didn't do the journalism. I read the journalism that someone else did. I mean, that's how news media operates, for the record. It's just, when my teacher asked me to read the book to the class, I tell her to stop doing illegal things.
Anyone, and even changes it slightly, almost like he knows it's wrong and
You
is
should copy paste it into a notepad and pass it off as your thoughts. Yeah, I should do that.
trying to get away with it.
I've realized that if I were to do that instead of fucking reacting to a goddamn video, people would be less mad at me.
In its use of vocal...
Until H-Bomber Guy makes a 4-hour video on it, then they would get mad at me.
Pat Carroll's ability to slide up and down the musical register, from shrieks to baritones, Poor Unfortunate Souls is an unmistakable send-up of the campy female impersonation numbers of underground queer films in the early days of Hollywood.
When he rips off Griffin quoting more well-known writers like Susan Sontag, he reads them out and puts the quote on screen. It looks like when he thinks he can get away with it, he passes obscure writers' words off as his own. He's already stealing from Griffin, why stop there? Somerton reuses a section of the book where Griffin quotes gay journalist and activist Jack Babuccio, who passed away of AIDS in 1990. Griffin explains who he is and discusses his quote, mentioning by name repeatedly. You know, the way you quote someone and discuss what they said. Somerton removes all mention and discussion of Babuccio, but he still steals everything he says.
And amping up that depiction to an 11. Camp, by focusing on the outward appearance of a role, implies that roles, and in particular gender roles, are superficial. A matter of style.
He then skips a few paragraphs, since the book discusses what Babuccio meant by this, and that would give away James didn't write it. I didn't even think it was possible, but somehow James managed to steal 2 queer authors' words at once.
Respect.
He copied a book word for word, and even removed mention of the people being quoted so it sounded like he was saying their words too. That's not something you do by...
You can't do that. You can't... Dude, not everyone can do that. Everyone's out there doing it one at a time. This dude made it 2 at a time. 2 for 1. That's a double whammy. You gotta put some respect on it.
Mistake. That's something you do when you want to take the credit, which he does. In future videos, James talks about Evil Queens as if it was all his ideas.
But other movies require a bit more digging. In Evil Queens, I talked about the queerness of the 90s Renaissance Disney movies, especially Aladdin and The Lion King. When I first mentioned this to people, they thought I was crazy. Then I explained it to them.
Why would anybody think you're crazy? What? I thought everybody knew Disney was gay as fuck. Am I alone on this? I thought the only people that didn't realize Disney, gay Disney. I thought the only people that didn't know Disney was historically always gay is like Ben Shapiro. You know what I mean? Like he's the one who's, and he's also faking it too, just to be like, aha. You've made Disney gay for the first time ever. It was never gay, hypothetically. But now it's gay, and it sucks.
And they came around to seeing it my way.
And everyone clapped. James claims this video is his work and a weird, bold new approach to media, when it's word for word from a 20-year-old book. It's ridiculous. He appears to have found and replaced words like gay and homosexual to queer or LGBT.
Another narrative strand in Disney's films that would have a great appeal to the queer community is the tale of the outside. Labeled it as a sin against God and allowed and often encouraged violent.
You know what's ironic? Once again, as long as he sourced it, because this is literally a fucking, like, this is a book that is well researched. All he would need to do is like source this and be like, I am taking this verbatim from the book, and then turned around and maybe sourced another book. And then most people would probably watch this shit and be like, wow, it's crazy how many books he read. Because it's clear he read the fucking book. I mean, he's reading it. You know what I mean?
Acts against LGBT people. Queer culture has unsurprisingly embraced. Queer culture, particularly gay male culture, has long held a fascination with fantasy. The close association of gay men to the world of fantasy has attributed to some of the most common insults for gay men in Western culture.
Somerton never mentioned the book or its author anywhere. There was nothing in the credits, the description, no citations, no mention of his name. Nothing. When YouTubers use a book as a major source of research, usually they mention it or put it in the background on their set. He did film himself next to a book, but it's not Tinkerbell's. It's Disney War, a commonly cited source in videos covering Disney stuff. He's trying to look like he did research without giving away where he got all the words he's saying. Eventually, a Twitter user who noticed the similarities started comparing the works closely and wrote a thread showcasing hundreds and hundreds of words worth of examples of the video directly copying Griffin's book. work. She eventually asked him why he didn't credit it, and he responded that he hadn't started crediting source materials yet when he made the video. He then finally added a reference to the book to the description almost 2 months after it had been uploaded. He'd gone with the internet historian method, put an acknowledgement of your theft in the description later and pretend that makes stealing okay. The thread's author thanked him for admitting it, but pointed out adding a line of text to near the bottom of the description is deceptive, considering the sheer amount of writing he copied. It looked like he was trying to get away with it by hiding some text somewhere no one would see. In response, he did the professional adult thing and blocked her and started tweeting vaguely about being wrongly accused of plagiarism, even though he always credits authors in the video description, which is a very funny thing to say when he didn't do that until the person he's currently complaining about pointed out he didn't. In just over a day, James went from saying, "Whoops, I'll put his name in the description, learning as I go, smiley face," to "I always credit authors in video descriptions, fuck off with your accusations." He also made a YouTube community post with the same text as the tweets. However, this turned out to be a Streisand'ian bargain, because people started asking what he was being criticized for. Here's where it gets really interesting. James responded to one of them with a new example. Something like this had already happened before. James had made a video called Unrequited: The History of Queerbaiting, and this video had also been accused of stealing from a documentary called The Celluloid Closet. So this wasn't even the first time he'd been caught doing something like this. The author of the thread noticed this comment and looked at the description of the Unrequited video, and there was a note hidden towards the bottom thanking The Celluloid Closet in a familiarly vague way. Somerton had been caught stealing something before, and he tried to get away with it the same way by hiding something in the description. The comments section was full of people saying thanking the documentary in the description wasn't good enough since he copied a shit ton of it. She then tweeted she was considering comparing The Celluloid Closet and Unrequited side by side, like she'd done with Evil Queens. It looks like James saw this tweet and realized someone was about to prove he'd done plagiarism in multiple videos, because suddenly he set both Unrequited and Evil Queens to private so no one could watch them, and made a post announcing this. The thread's author mentioned this happened and included these screenshots of the announcement. Let's put this on a timeline. This tweet came almost exactly 12 hours after saying she was thinking of checking the other video. In her screenshot, the announcement was only 11 hours old. James hid Unrequited within an hour of someone saying they were thinking of checking it for plagiarism. That's not suspect at all. In his post, he explained he was the victim of a targeted harassment campaign, had received death threats, and he hid these videos because he didn't want people who want him dead seeing them. In the comments section, he also claimed the thread's author had been harassing and attacking him for the last 48 hours on Twitter, and her followers had been hunting down his home and work addresses. Any harassment or threats Somerton may have received are unconscionable and wrong. I want to clarify right now that if anyone harasses Somerton on my behalf, they are worse than him and will not see the light of heaven. I must underscore, however, the original author was not unnecessarily rude in her criticisms, was straightforward and polite when speaking to James directly, and when he talked about harassment, she was very clear where she stood on that as well. Somerton accused her of personally stalking him anyway.
Gotta be disgusting to see as someone who actually gets credible death threats for 0 fucking valid reasons. I mean, half of the... Here's the difference, okay? Online, if there's one thing that's constant, if you respond, it's going to snowball, and it's going to turn into a much larger problem. Whether it's valid or not doesn't matter. So one thing that I will say in this circumstance is what this guy did, his major mistake was to literally fucking respond. He did Streisand it. Streisand effect is unironically a thing that occurs whether the criticisms are valid or invalid. Straight up. Especially if you don't do a good enough job of like sitting down, taking in every single thing that the person has told you, okay? And then going through it piece by piece in the most neurodivergent way you physically can, okay? And making a super well thought out, super reasonable reaction. Only then can you maybe push back on it, but even then, people will most likely take that and you know, use it and weaponize it against you. Straight up. I know this. I know this from my own experiences that have snowballed into going from nothing to like snowballing into like absolutely major issues behind the scenes that have turned into like super that have turned into like consistent hater fuel. Bad empanada is a good example. What do you mean? Why? What did bad empanada do? Oh, quoting sources? Oh, yeah.
And starting a harassment campaign against him, threatening his life and trying to track down his address with her obscure thread of tweets. The author's account was very small at the time, with less than 150 followers.
Yeah, bad empanada would be like probably... I think bad empanada would be one of the better content creators online if he just didn't have a Twitter account. Like, unironically, the fact that they keep fucking nuking his Twitter account is actually a good thing for him, but he doesn't realize it. And he thinks it's like a bad thing for him. But it's like he would be so much better as like a content creator that just does not tweet. Because he's such a fucking freak, dude. Oh my lord, he is such a goddamn freak. He is the most insane person online. His Twitter is mostly a joke, in my opinion. He has like 7,000 accounts. He's also, yeah, I mean, he is a gremlin. He is absolutely a fucking gremlin. Keep in mind, there's people that pretend to be him. Says he doesn't have a Twitter on his YouTube. Good. I'm glad that he says that. Pretty sure he does, though.
And barely anyone had seen the thread until Somerton accused it of trying to kill him. Instead of addressing his mistake head-on and holding himself accountable, Somerton span a narrative about how the most polite critic he could have possibly gotten was the head of a targeted campaign against him, while trying to hide the evidence. On the other hand, the author of this thread has received a lot of harassment from Somerton's fans over the years, to the point they eventually changed their username and locked their account. You literally can't see these tweets anymore. When I managed to contact her with questions, she asked me to reference her as little as possible because she's afraid of it starting again. Somerton's fans believed they were defending him from someone threatening his life, remember? So they were pretty fucking vicious about it. And that is what he was telling them. When he made a video addressing the plagiarism, he titled it, "About Those Death Threats."
Somebody watched my Evil Queens video, my video about Disney, and realized that there are quotes in the video that are directly taken from the book Tinkerbells and Evil Queens. They went ahead and started accusing me of plagiarism. Somebody read their thread and decided to message me some death threats, as you do on the internet. I think she has something like 154 Twitter followers, something like that, and some of the people of that 154 decided, hey, let's threaten to kill him. But yeah, that's the situation. That's why someone doxed me and threatened to kill me.
He claimed he simply...
I mean, it sucks. It sucks, but it's just like, this is a common practice. I'm going to be honest. It's probably not any of the 154, but it's just like probably haters. You know what I mean? It's usually better practice to not mention this openly because it only compounds. It has
forgot
the capacity
to
get
credit
worse.
the book, which made up the vast majority of his script.
I'm kind of flighty when a video is done and I'm putting the credits together, so I don't always remember to put everything in the credits. That's kind of been a problem with me in the past. That has happened before.
He then compared his video to serious documentaries and how they're often based on books.
You know, like a lot of documentaries, they're based on books that come out. And so, yes, going forward, I just want you to know my videos may well be based off of books.
Normally you get permission to adapt people's books into documentaries before you make them and release them to the public for money. It's really hard not to see this for what it is. A guy making up a series of bad excuses after being caught plagiarizing. Let's just think about this for a second. If James was honestly adapting a book, why would he film himself on his set for an hour sitting next to a different book and not even think to mention the book he's adapting even exists? Somerton went out of his way not to mention his primary source, so people wouldn't read it and realize he copied it.
So yeah.
Did you go to school? Do you have a bookmark folder? Do you have a history on your saved on your browser? What? Oh, you're talking to him.
I guess what I'm just trying to say is that, yes, there are quotes in the video and sections of the video that are taken from the book. It's not entirely based off of it. There's, you know, most of what's in the video is my own original content.
How does he explain what he did to the quote from Babushio? He doesn't even try.
And if you don't want to support me anymore because not everything is entirely my original thoughts, then that's fine. I would never have had the time to do that amount of research for a YouTube video.
This video and all his YouTube posts about the plagiarism accusations were deleted soon after. I think Somerton realised there was no decent explanation for what he had done, so trying to explain it made him look worse. Instead, he started tweeting that he'd sent the video to the author to ask for permission to put the video up again. He was finally asking permission to do what he already did months ago. I'm curious how he explained all of this to Griffin. It sounds like Griffin asked to be credited properly because the old version of Evil Queens never came back up. Instead, a new one was uploaded. This version is exactly the same as the old one, except it has, based on the book by Sean Griffin, hastily added to the opening credits. In the span of a few days, the video graduated from not acknowledging the book anywhere to using it as a major source of research to finally being based on it. In the years since this happened, Somerton has come up with new lies about it to try to make himself look better. On a recent livestream, someone brought up the old allegations, and his version of the story is that he always had permission from Griffin before he even made the video.
For the Evil Queens one, like I said, that was based directly on the book. That was word for word from the book. And that's why before doing the video, I got permission from the author to do it. But I did have full permission from him before making the video.
The tweet about how he literally had to take the video down and ask permission afterwards is still up. Anyone can fact check this. I want to observe that if this was an honest mistake, James had the opportunity to be honest about it and chose to lie. Looks a bit like a dishonest mistake to me. He also pretends he credited Griffin in the description in the first place, and the person who criticized him simply didn't notice.
In the original version of Evil Queens, the citation was in the description of the video and not in the video itself. And that was the issue. They didn't read the description. And so I took down the video and I put it back up.
Wait, okay, I'm going to skip through this a little bit. No disrespect to H-Bomber Guy. You guys should watch it. I was watching it on my own as well. This is a great video. Just 4 hours long. I mean, I love H-Bomber Guy. He's still doing it, or it got worse is what you think I should watch?
Worse. Society and queer horror, or as the video calls itself, deep cuts. Society and queer horror steals so many words from so many writers, it genuinely makes me think I've traveled to an alternate dimension where plagiarism is fine!
4 girls end up in the same school and find each other essentially by cruising the hallways. Given Carrie's simultaneous status as horror film victim and monster, alongside the narrative concerning her burgeoning sexuality and attraction to boys, or when Ripley asserts authority in the team after Dallas is caught by the alien, Ash, the male robot, feels threatened and attempts to dominate Ripley, regain his masculinity. It's fun, messy, mean, sad, campy, and self-aware. That's the key variable that makes Hellraiser so special.
I can't show you how messed up
Has this guy ever watched a movie and had an independent thought? Like, I don't understand. Like, here's what you shouldn't have done. Whatever you're doing right now. He could have just fucking done something else. I don't understand it. This is how I wrote my college papers. Bro, if you wrote your college papers like this, you would get clapped. These people remind me of that guy you recently debated. Is this guy related to Santos? No.
Up this is without ruining this video's runtime even more than I already have.
Me waiting for the Anthony Fantano video to have an opinion on a new album, Pipo Pago. Yeah, that's a little different. You're passing off that's like kind of the purpose of why a lot of these people originally write these articles as well. So that you read them and you go, and then you say, ooh, I'm going to repeat this to my friends so I can sound smarter. It's like partially, like I've said before, 90% of the reason why I do commentary. Okay? The difference, of course, is when you take that and then you just pass it off as your own in an article that you wrote. You know what I mean? Or a video that you wrote. But Fantano doesn't rip a shit. No, I know. I'm saying a chatter hearing me say something and then repeating it to their friends is very different. You don't have to cite me, okay? That's fucking ridiculous. I'm an idiot. You can repackage it. You can even verbatim quote it. Make it seem like it's your own take. You could go around and be like, I have a personal doctrine about nuke ownership. okay? Nation building. I have a doctrine for nation state building. And one of the things is you got to get nukes. And if you don't have nukes, you got to make sure you find nukes. And if someone, if America says you got nukes, then, and if you don't have nukes, you got to drop everything and find nukes, right? Go ahead. Say it. Who gives a shit? Gonna start citing Fantano with timestamps and casual conversations with the buds. Anthony Fantano, internet's busiest music nerd. Episode 4, minute 14, second 53.
So let's use visuals. Here's a transcript of all the words James says in this hour and 25-minute long video. And here's all the parts that are plagiarized. Each author's name is in a different color for convenience. This video steals roughly 10,000 words from 18 different places. And this is just the stuff I found. There could be more. A truly staggering portion of this video is James staring into his prompter, reading words he got by Googling movie name gay. I wish I could show you everything he copied, but we'd be here forever. This is just one video, and he makes so many of these. And now we know how! But Somerton thinks he's figured out a loophole. It's a familiar spin on an old classic. It opens with a horror-themed credits sequence, which claims the video is based on the works of, and briefly shows a bunch of names. These are some of the people he plagiarized. So if any of his plagiarism is noticed, he can say, no, I name-dropped them in the opening for literally 1 second, so it's fine. This is the stupidest thing I've ever... Anyone watching this video would assume this is Somerton showing his sources, or people whose work he read while writing the video, not people whose writing is the video, based on the works of Colin Arison. What does
this is H-Bomber guy fucking honest Turnitin and shit, dude. It's crazy. Okay, he's still doing it. There's more, and then there was another thing you wanted me to watch, right? Wait. Oh, I want to see the Attack on Titan one.
While I was doing preliminary research late last year, a funny thing happened. Somerton's YouTube community page was wiped. Hundreds of posts from over...
Stop telling me to stop skipping it. You go watch it on your own, and you should go watch it on your own, okay?
For several years, disappeared overnight. At this point, I'd spoken to a few of the writers Somerton had stolen from, and I wondered if maybe one of them had publicly accused him. But after doing some more looking, it turned out no, someone else had independently noticed they'd been plagiarized because there was still more. Seldom Musings, a WordPress blog, had made a post accusing Somerton of plagiarizing a blog post about Attack on Titan from 2013. And then I thought, wait, doesn't Somerton have a video from September 2022 called, like, Attack on Titan and the Death of Media Literacy? Well, he did. Finding an old link, it was suddenly set to private. Over 1.5 million views had been wiped from his channel. Huh. I already had a copy downloaded because, well, Somerton has deleted inconvenient videos before, and I figured something like this would happen again.
What the fuck? Well, he was just out there? Bro, this man is a hound.
I've been going through his videos chronologically, so I hadn't got to that one yet, but what's kind of funny is I know I would have noticed this plagiarism myself if I had. That blog post has gone viral multiple times. It's one of the main sources for Western awareness of Attack on Titan's authors' right-wing views. If you're deep on anime fascism discourse, this is a classic post. I've seen it linked and referenced dozens of times over the years. It would make sense to point to this post if you were discussing the political implications of Attack on Titan, or you could even quote it and cite it as a source. Well, wouldn't you know it, Somerton doesn't link the post or quote it anywhere, or acknowledge its existence, he just copies it.
This outrage should come as no surprise knowing the history between Japan and Korea, but that is exactly what most people may not be aware of. Korea was occupied by Japan from 1910 to 1945, only one of many East Asian nations colonized by Japan as part of its growing imperial presence at the time, during which the Japanese army enforced changing Korean names to Japanese style, destroyed ancestral artifacts and locations, murdered the Korean empress, forced Korean men into hazardous war efforts, forced Korean women into sexual slavery for Japanese soldiers, and tortured and massacred and experimented upon Koreans en masse. However, history books and classes in Japan have glossed over it.
I mean, at least his, like, style has gotten...
if not outright ignored these events.
James doesn't acknowledge the writing he's stealing at all, though he does find the time to make a long opening sequence, James Somerton Presents, directed and edited by James Somerton, written by Nick Hergott and James Somerton. This site was active briefly in 2013, with a post in 2016 clarifying the blog was done. They came back 6 years later to talk about James stealing their work.
The reluctance to paraphrase the same factual information speaks to a lack of imagination, not to mention a lack of research. He should be ashamed of the laziness of copying entire sentences into his script as if he wrote them himself. How can you say a fandom lacks media literacy when you can't even conduct your own research or compose your own analysis?
Somerton saw the author call him a plagiarist and panicked and hid the video, deleted all his
No, I can't see the law review article. HasanAbi. Is it your own fucking law review article? Is that what you're doing?
community posts, so there was nowhere to leave a comment asking what happened this time. He was preparing for his plagiarism to go public and locking everything down. If what Somerton was doing was a defensible artistic choice, he'd be defending it, wouldn't he? He'd say, this is a normal thing to do and I'm going to keep doing it. Instead, he does it secretly and hides the videos when people notice. It's clear he knows what he's doing is wrong and would just rather keep stealing than actually do any work. But while we're talking about the Attack on Titan video, you know he didn't just steal one thing. The video's an hour long. No self-respecting marketing expert would do all that work himself. In this video, and only this video, he quotes several YouTubers, like he has their text on the screen and he reads it out. And he would never normally do that. He would just steal their words and pretend he came up with them. Which means he must be stealing from someone who quoted them. And, yeah.
For a long time, anime fans had no way of knowing what their favorite writers and artists even looked like, let alone what they thought about the world.
3.5 minutes of this video comes from Peter Jackson at Vice Motherboard. And yeah, when he quotes YouTubers, he's actually quoting Jackson quoting them. I can't believe I fucking called it.
YouTuber Jeff Thu argues, it's because this discussion keeps happening, but it's also not. There's some really good criticism of Attack on Titan, and I think it's important to criticize it.
Now, this isn't just an article quoting someone. Jackson reached out to Jeff for his opinion on this topic. There's nowhere else James could have got this quote, and this time he really fucked it up. At one point, he uses a quote Jackson got from historian and scholar Andrea Horbinski. But remember how he sometimes find and replaces words like gay or trans to queer or LGBT to hide it? He accidentally did that to the quote!
As they put it, these fans insist that feminism and LGBTQ people don't exist in Japan, and that any anime depicting either is woke garbage or similar. These fans are extremely angry at attempts to discuss the depictions of female characters in anime as something that could often use improvement, or the inclusion of LGBT characters, period.
This is the most amateur shit I've ever seen. This is sub-high school level plagiarism hiding. You don't find and replace text in the quotes, James! People in Somerton's official Discord server were asking what happened to the video. On January the 1st this year, he said the video was coming.
Say hi to Gita's dad. He's a HasanAbi head. I know. Hi. Thank you for your loyal support.
Back up that day, and that it had to come down because of a missing source. That's a very strange way of saying someone noticed me plagiarizing them and criticized me for it, and I deleted fucking everything. The new version he uploaded is a minute shorter. He just cut out the sections where he directly read the blog post. The video is even more stilted and strangely written than normal. The point Somerton was trying to make here was so important he was willing to steal it from someone else. Now that point is missing, and the surrounding conversation makes no sense. The new version opens saying the original had a citation error. But if that was the problem, why didn't he add a citation instead of deleting the section completely? Well, one reason might be he wants the credit for himself, but the other is if he added their name now, anyone who checked would see the author's new post saying he plagiarized them. Somerton's only way out is to hide it and hope no one notices. He doesn't want to stop stealing, he just wants to not get caught doing it. If he thinks he can get away with keeping something in, he does. The 3 minutes of the video, written completely by Gita.
He showed up bitching to a trans guy, non-binary person. The bit Hasan skipped is fucked. He's obviously transphobic. Part of the reason why he might be doing that also is because, like, I think YouTube will demonetize you if you use those words. So that might be another reason. I don't know.